Hello Patreon pals! Today we have a very exciting but brief project to share. Firstly, I'd like to apologize for gaps in video entertainment. I'll try to do better. It's been cold and uninspiring down here. Today we're going to make a project which I call candy wood. You'll see why at the end. First, I took this piece of wood I had. I usually make skulls with these, but I bought two whole pieces of this wood and I didn't make any skulls with it. I wanted to try something different, so I cut them into 1, 2, and 3 square-inch pieces. And at the end I was going to assemble them together, like some kind of crazy modern art. That's what I did. After I finished cutting them up, and it worked out better than I thought. I don't have the most exact bandsaw, the most exact table saw sled. But I did pretty okay doing 1, 2, and 3-inch squares. I brought it over to the sander, and here was my first mistake. I wanted all the edges beveled so the colors looked clean next to each other, which is something that's very difficult to do by hand. But I wanted that look. I really shouldn't have beveled these by hand because they came out very uneven. Next time I'm going to use the router. But if you've ever used a router, you know especially with a whole bunch of little 1-inch square pieces, you know the risks to your fingers. You don't want to, I think the way Jimmy DiResta put it, get bit by the tiger, although he was talking about a table saw as getting bit by the tiger. Yeah. One little nick from a router on your finger can really ruin your week. Anyway, I did it all by hand. I beveled all the edges by hand. Because, you know, the first step of making anything with wood before you paint it, it's the same way with anything else. You want to make sure that it's as perfect as you can get it, because paint has the ability to really bring out flaws in work, which it has, but you'll see that a little bit later. I nicked my finger. It's healing up pretty good. But I don't think I got a shot of it. My hand was covered in this fine dust, and the blood from my knuckle was coming through, and it looked almost ghostly. It looked cool, didn't hurt at the time. Yeah, so I beveled all of my little pieces, right? That's what I did. And then I sanded all the edges so they fit together nicely. Then it was on to painting them. Now, my initial idea was to do it all with oil paints. But the further I got into that, I realized, one, I was running low on liquid, so they would take forever to dry. And two, why not just make a wild color palette? So I started using other things, some acrylic paints, some nail polishes. You go experiment with some nail polishes in your work. It's really cool. So after all the pieces dried for a day or two, I assembled them in shapes that I liked. I made an outer frame out of an old pallet I still had a couple of pieces of pallet wood. A couple of years ago I was fortunate enough to get a huge pile of them, and I've been using them for years and years. Made some frames. I think I'm at the end of them. One of the ones I had, I used a frame for this. And well, then I secured the pieces in place in the way that I liked. I then treated my pallet wood frame to a couple of coats of black stain, which they took okay, but at this point I wasn't really thinking about selling this piece anymore because I really didn't like the way it turned out. There's a bunch of mistakes and fingerprints in it and everything. But who knows, I might change my mind. After my after the stain dried, I attached the frame to the piece of hardboard, and this is the piece that I came up with. It's okay. It's a good starting point. It basically accomplished what I wanted to accomplish and the look I wanted to accomplish, except it just didn't turn out as super as I hoped. But I'll just chalk that up to practice, and I'll do better next time. Well, I guess that was the video. Thank you, all my Patreon friends. I'd like to apologize if this one was too high energy, if you had just woken up and it was too jarring. I'm working on, I'm on the last steps of the December Patreon artwork, and I'm going to make a short video about that because I tried some new things with it. And there might be spoiler alerts in there for people who get it, so you might want to hold off watching it. But I'll let you know. Anyway, thanks a lot, everybody. With your help gave me the ability to be able to experiment with stuff like this. So, many, many thank yous. I'm going to probably get some more coffee now, so I wake up a bit. I'll edit this up for you. I'll be talking to you soon. I hope you have a wonderful day. It's going to be December, so I hope the beginning of your Decembers are wonderful. Have a wonderful beginning of your December.